All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our online Sugar CRM user group. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions throughout, if you incur any technical difficulties or questions on the topic that we're talking about, go ahead and put those in the chat, and we'll be happy to address those. In addition, you can expect some follow-up documentation from me tomorrow with the recording of this, as well as the slide deck and any other relevant materials. So we could get started. I'd just like to start by introducing our two hosts today. You know them well. Megan Sheehan, our sugar trainer and business analyst, and Justin Kuhlthau, our sugar practice manager. And so they're going to be talking to you today about Sugar Connect. I was going to say Discover, but that's our next topic. So I will hand it over to them to get us started.
All right. So as we said, today we will be talking about Sugar Connect. We'll be talking about what Sugar Connect does and who can use it, and then we will be demonstrating exactly how it works. Sugar Connect is one of two new products that Sugar announced last fall. The other is Sugar Discover, and as Deneen just said, we're going to be doing our next user group about that one. So one of the questions that Sugar is thinking about as they think about product direction, besides the three pillars that we've talked about in a few of the other recent user groups, is how can CRM help you answer the known unknowns about your business, the things you know you don't know, as well as help you uncover the unknown unknowns, the things you don't even realize you don't know. And so that's the framework Sugar is coming from as they develop this Sugar Connect product. Getting a little bit more specific, some of the problems that Sugar Connect is designed to help solve are some of the things listed here on this slide. So things like lack of context. You get an email from someone, you're working in Outlook, you don't have the full history from Sugar available there necessarily. You don't know that someone else emailed them yesterday. You don't know if they opened a support ticket yesterday, and you don't have the full context when you reply to that email. Part of the reason for that could be tab fatigue. You're just tired of switching between windows on your computer, and you're too tired or too lazy to switch over to CRM, and I'll just stay in Outlook and keep working here in my email. And those then lead to missing information, not having the full history of what's going on with your customers inside your CRM, missed opportunities for follow-up and missed opportunities for sales. And that can therefore then result in lost sales, reduced customer satisfaction, increased customer churn, and lost productivity. So how do we solve some of these problems? Sugar Connect is designed to make it effortless to manage customer relationships and follow-up activities, helping users gain critical context where it matters most during real-time communications with customers, and doing that around the idea of the 360-degree customer view, automated data entry, and boosting productivity. Again, getting a little bit more specific here, capabilities that are available in Sugar Connect. First of all, making CRM accessible. So giving you access to all of your Sugar CRM data when you're working in Office 365 or in Google G Suite, making all of that data accessible to you. Making it easier to capture email so that all of your email communication can be seamlessly captured inside of your CRM and linked appropriately to the right information. Unlocking calendar with a two-way calendar sync to make sure your calendar constantly remains up to date, both in Sugar and in your Office 365 or Google product. Helping you manage tasks so that your tasks sync from Sugar to your email client and calendar so that you're making sure you don't miss out on any of those reminders. Making it easier to schedule meetings with a scheduling assistant. Allowing you to engage prospects by leveraging templates from Sugar. And then future roadmap items that don't exist today but that are in development are the ability to do enhanced activity reporting and to track engagements, meaning tracking open rates and click-through rates on emails that you're sending from Outlook or Google.
A few of the core components to the Sugar Connect application are the side panel and functionality you're going to see within Outlook, whether you're on a Mac, Windows, or the web. In addition, unlike the Outlook plugin, Sugar Connect has a web portal section where each user who uses Sugar Connect can go there to configure how to synchronize their calendars, their contacts, as well as to set up their scheduling assistant, and a few other options we'll take a look at in just a minute. Sugar Connect is compatible with both Office 365 and the Google Suite. You must be using a paid version of both of those in order to use Sugar Connect. You also have to be hosted on Google or Microsoft's cloud. You can't have Exchange on-premise and still use Sugar Connect. You can use a Sugar Connect with an on-premise instance of Sugar as long as the firewalls and ports are open to access the API for Sugar. Within the Office 365 suite, you can use the Sugar Connect with the regular Windows clients, as well as the Macintosh client and the web client. On the Google side, you have to use a Chrome browser with the G Suite Gmail application.
So as Justin mentioned, there are really two components to using Sugar Connect. There are the features that you have inside of your email client, so inside of Outlook or inside of Google, that we're going to be going through first. And then you have the features that are managed through the Sugar Connect portal, which we'll go through next. So within the email client itself, I'm going to be demoing using Outlook. However, the Google functionality is equivalent if you're using Gmail. You'll have a side panel with full access to all of your Sugar modules and your fields, including custom modules and custom fields. So that's the big difference between the Sugar Outlook plugin sidebar and the Sugar Connect sidebar, is that Sugar Connect sidebar is fully configured to match your system automatically. It just reads your Sugar layouts and uses those same layouts in Outlook or Google. You have the ability to click to sync emails to Sugar. So fairly similar to the Outlook plugin functionality here. There is a quick sync option that just automatically matches an email address, or a sync with options that allows you to set exactly which records to relate that email to. You have the ability to create records in any Sugar module, again, including custom modules, and also the ability to set up a folder that syncs all of the emails in that folder to Sugar automatically. The main purpose behind that would be for being able to push emails into Sugar from your mobile device. So on your phone, you can just copy or move an email into that folder, and it will automatically push out to Sugar. All right, so let's actually pull up Outlook here and take a look at this. So I've got my Outlook open. I've got Sugar Connect installed. One other thing, I don't think this was in our slides anywhere, so let me just mention it while I'm thinking about it, is that Sugar Connect is a cloud application, so you don't have to ever install updates to it. It's automatically updated from the cloud. That's part of how it's built with both Microsoft and Google, is that it automatically updates when they push updates out. All right, back to my demo. So within the sidebar, again, the biggest difference here in the sidebar between the Outlook plugin that you may already be familiar with and Sugar Connect is that all of your custom fields are here. So for example, we have a custom field tracking what CRM our customers are using. Justin here is using Sugar CRM, and I can see that directly within the contact profile here, or the contact information here from Outlook. I can edit any of this information from here as well. So there's a menu up here at the top where I can open this record in Sugar, but also edit it directly from Outlook. It will bring up the full, again, layout with all of my fields on here, and I can go ahead and update any of that information. Just back out, I don't actually really need to update Justin's information here. If I scroll down a little bit, sorry, my computer's been a little slow here, probably because I'm doing the screen share. There you go. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see, as you probably would expect, all of your sugar subpanels. Again, this is going to include any custom modules that you might have in sugar. So we've got a few custom modules down towards the bottom here. And we can click on any of these to expand the subpanel, just like when you're using sugar, very consistent user experience. I can click on this record to go ahead and pull up the notes. I also have a plus button on all of these subpanels to go ahead and create additional records. So if I needed to create a new case or opportunity or a follow-up phone call, I could do all of that directly from here. If I have an email from a contact who is not a known contact in Sugar, again, pretty similar to the Outlook plugin in this scenario, it's going to go ahead and give me the option to add that person to Sugar as a contact or a lead. This is not actually a real person, so I'm not going to go all the way through this process, but it will pull in their name from the email. It will pull in their email address from the email. It will also, not in this case, because again, it's not really a real person, but it would also attempt to match the contact to an account searching on the email domain. So when I did this earlier with a real contact when I was testing, it did actually automatically fill in that account field for me as well. All right, keep going out of this. One other neat thing that you can do through the sidebar is you can actually access all of your sugar information from here. If I click this home button, I actually just have a list of all of my sugar modules. I can search using the same technology as global search at the top of your screen in Sugar, or I can go into a particular module and just use some basic filtering to find a list of its various information. So any of the data that I have in Sugar is accessible from the sidebar. In terms of working with emails, I've got a few different buttons up here that have kind of shrunk because I'm working on a smaller screen right now. So I can quick save my email to Sugar or save with options. And let me switch back to Justin. So I'm working with the contact here. And we'll just do a quick save to Sugar on this email. What that's going to do is just push that email out to Sugar, do some automatic linking based off the email address, and let me get right back to work without a lot of thought or effort. So just get that email into Sugar as quickly and easily as possible. If I want a little bit more control over how it goes into Sugar, I can also do the Save with Options. This is going to do a pop-up window. Again, a little bit more consistent with what you might be used to from Outlook plugin if you're using that today. And this is going to let me set a couple of different things. One is, what am I going to connect this email to within Sugar? So it will bring up a list of potential suggestions based off of the contact that it found, the email address, the web domain. So it's finding all of my different TechADB contacts in here. If I scroll down far enough, we'll also get to things like opportunities or cases that are connected to that account. Or if I just need to put this email under maybe one of our customers, even though it's an email between me and Deneen, I can come up here and I can just do a search within the whole set of data in Sugar. Say I want to put this email under Sugar CRM. I can control what it's searching, so if I only want to search accounts, I could set that as well, and then I can just select where I want that email to be linked. The other thing I can do with the Save with Options is I can control which attachments go into Sugar. So in this case, Deneen had attached a Word document that I definitely want to keep. I don't necessarily care about all of the images in her email signature, so I can go ahead and say I don't need to save all of those. Let's just save the attachment that I care about. And then when I'm done, I can go ahead and save that into Sugar. So again, two different options for doing that email push into Sugar, depending on whether or not you want to take some time to set a few more options or just quickly get it in there. And then as I briefly mentioned on the slide, there is actually a third option, which is the Copy to CRM folder. This is primarily designed for use from your phone or other mobile device where you don't necessarily have the full version of Outlook running. What I can do here is I can just take an email and drop it into that folder, copy it in there, or even just move it in there, whichever one I prefer to do with that email. And that will go ahead and do the same thing as clicking that quick save button. It will push it out to Sugar and match based off the email address to decide where to link it. I do also have a few options that I can use when I'm sending emails that are connected to Sugar Connect. So let me go ahead and start a new email to Deneen here. It doesn't open by default, but I can access the sidebar in this view as well. So again, if I need that contextual information to understand, you know, what's going on with Deneen before I click send on my email, I don't have to jump over to Sugar to do that. I can do that right here within Outlook. I have the option to use email templates that are set up from within Sugar, within my Outlook email. So this will pull up a list of all of our Sugar email templates. I can search within that list if needed, although the one I want looks like it's right here at the top. So I'll go ahead and select that one, and it will go ahead and insert that into my email message. You can have variables. I don't know if you saw this before I clicked OK. I clicked kind of click there. This was the variable for her name, and it obviously pulled her name in there. The other really neat feature in terms of sending emails is that you have the option to send an email later. So maybe I want Deneen to get this email an hour from now or next week sometime or whatever the case might be. I want to send it now while I'm thinking about it, but I don't necessarily want her to get it immediately. I can go into the Save with options. And actually, I probably should also say I can click Save to Sugar or Save with options to save this email to Sugar when I send it. And in this case, I'm actually going to use this to do the send later option. So first of all, let's put this under Deneen, and then let's send it later. This will then pop up with some options for when do I want to send this email, including a custom option if I want something different from what's in the list. And we'll just send this in an hour. Deneen will get a nice pleasant surprise an hour from now when she's forgotten all about why I'm sending her an email about why Sugar Connect rocks. And it will show you exactly when it's going to send it, and then you'll go ahead and click confirm. So this will put it into a send later Sugar Connect email queue. It actually is a separate folder, so you can still see them both within your Outlook or Google interface, here it over here, or I can also access it through the sidebar if I want to find it that way. And I think that covers everything from the email client. So Justin, I believe I'm going to pass over to you.
Yep.
All right.
And I will be covering the web portal features. Within the web portal, and again, I'd like to mention that every user will want to access the web portal. It's not just an administrative function, although there are some administrative functions in there that we will take a look at. But again, there's settings for each user where you can set how the calendar is synchronized, how contacts are synchronized, that scheduling assistant where you can give someone a link and they can take a look at your free busy information and schedule a meeting with you, and how that works. And you can also, again, manage what users have access to Sugar Connect and how they are connected to your CRM system. All right, I will go ahead and jump into that. The fastest, easiest way to get to the web portal is to come into your Sugar Connect sidebar, click the gear icon down here, and then click on Open Sugar Connect Portal. That will take me to the home screen of my portal. And I have a number of options in my sidebar over here. The first one being just general information about your Office 365 sidebar and how to invite users to use it and how they would install it. There's also a section here for calendar and contact synchronization. First, it makes sure we have our credentials set up correctly. Then I can set up my calendar synchronization. I have it set to include calls and tasks in addition to my meetings. And this synchronization is already ongoing for me. And then down here, I have not set up contact synchronization yet because I don't need contacts in my Outlook, but I could set this up And this is a one-way synchronization from Sugar to your address book in Outlook. Megan already mentioned the smart folders, where you get that save email to Sugar folder that you can use on a mobile device. That's already comes pre-set up. Copy to CRM is what that is called. And finally, we have this scheduler type link. So here I have 3 different types of meetings. Someone can, if they have the proper link, they can schedule a meeting with me, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, or 60 minutes. Each of these comes with a different URL you can give out. Right now, I only have one of these turned on, so only one of them would work. I could also edit or delete them, but let's just take a quick look at what a 30-minute meeting will look like. So I can copy this calendar link, and this link does not change. So for example, you could bookmark this and easily jump to it quickly, and then you can pass that out to people over time.
Or even put it in your email signature.
Or put it in your email signature, yes. So here, it's connecting to the sugarapp.com. So it's all in the cloud. It has my account information and a unique identifier over here. And then it's telling me what my availability is. And I could click on one of these to schedule a meeting. For example, 10 a.m. Now it's saying confirm booking, book a meeting with Justin Kielthau. And then I would have to put in my information here. And it would create that meeting for me on my calendar. And I could respond and start working with that person. So you can do this with people you know. You can do this with people you don't know. It doesn't matter. You could even post a link to this on your website if you wanted people to be able to look up and schedule with you. Jumping back here, I would like to add a new event type just to show you what functionality is available in there. It's fairly robust. I could have a 2-hour meeting. So I would update this to 120 minutes. I can have a minimum scheduler notice. So if I set this to 48 hours, it means nobody can use this link to schedule a meeting with me in the next 48 hours. I can also set my availability. So I could say I only want to do 2-hour meetings on Fridays and Thursdays. And I could set the time that those starts. Maybe I don't want to start a 2-hour meeting right when I get to work. So I could edit this and set when they are allowed to create these meetings. And then this other one is pretty cool, this create leads in CRM. If I enable this and someone registers via my link, they'll get created as a lead in Sugar CRM if their email address doesn't already exist somewhere within Sugar CRM. So now I've saved that event type. I've enabled it. I can copy that now and see slightly different results when I come here because it's only going to be letting me do Thursdays and Fridays. Of course, you can't do anything within the next 48 hours, so the next 2 days are completely, everything's blocked off until I get to next week. And my Thursday is already completely booked, but there's a couple of options on Friday for a 2-hour meeting next Friday. Jumping back into our portal, we have a couple of areas where I can set the credentials, my URL, my username, as well as my Office 365 account information. And then this top section is what most users would see. But if you're an admin, you can then see all of the users who you've allowed to access Sugar Connect. In our case, we have a bunch of invites that went out that they haven't responded to. They have decided not to use Sugar Connect for whatever reason. And then I can see the ones that have used it down here, as well as if they're an administrator or not. And then it does its best to automatically link the Outlook user with the Sugar user, but you can also double check and confirm who is linked to who in here. With regards to pricing, the cost is $15 per user per month. It's billed annually, and the license will match your sugar license. One thing that's I think is really important to note is that you do not have to do one-to-one with your sugar licenses. So you may have 100 users of Sugar, but only 10 people who want to use Sugar Connect, and you can purchase Sugar Connect for just those 10 users. There is a minimum of 10 Connect users. You can't buy Sugar Connect for just 2 or 3 users. And all Connect users obviously have to be Sugar users because you have to link them with an account in Sugar. Sugar Connect is obviously the Sugar bought Collabspot. So this is the next iteration of Collabspot becoming Sugar Connect. Right now, Sugar Connect is not equivalent to Collabspot. So if someone already has Collabspot, they can continue to use Collabspot, and they can even purchase additional seats of it. And they're going to continue allowing Collabspot users to do this until there is a use case equivalence, until Sugar Connect can do everything that Collabspot can do, which is estimated to happen sometime early this year. If a Collabspot customer wants to migrate to Connect, they can do that and keep their current price. And then eventually they will be forced to do it once they are the same. A lot of people use the free Outlook plugin from Sugar. Sugar has no plans to discontinue that, and they will still work to develop it, to update it so it works with the newest versions of Outlook, and perhaps add some new features. But most new development will be for Sugar Connect and not the Outlook plugin.
We've got a question in chat, what does Collabspot do that Sugar Connect does not do? I believe the biggest thing right now is that email tracking function where Collabspot allows you to see when someone's opened or clicked on your email, and Connect does not have that function currently. All right, I'll just present these from your computer, I guess. There's no point in switching. As always, we wrap up by talking about new releases. Sugar did announce the 9.3 or Winter 20 release last week. This is another cloud-only release, so it'll be included in the next on-premise kind of roll-up release, Sugar 10, in about 3 months. Most of the functionality in the Sugar 9.3 release is targeted at Sugar Cell or Sugar Serve. And this is really what we are starting to expect at this point. I think in our last couple of user groups, we've really talked about the direction Sugar is heading with Cell and Serve, and the fact that we expect most of the new features to be targeted at those two products, with some making their way into enterprise. And that's really what we're seeing in the release notes here. One of the big features in the 9.3 release is around automated renewal management. And the idea here is that if you have time-based products or time-based services that you sell that have a start date and an end date, we want to make that easier for you to manage those sales. Most of this functionality is only going to be available in Sugar Cell. A few pieces of it are in Enterprise, and I've noted that here on the slide where appropriate. So part of this obviously is just making sure you have the capability to manage those products. So adding some new fields to the product catalog to allow you to track duration-based products and what the kind of standard duration for them is. Then the automated piece of this is that when you close an opportunity that's got one of these duration-based products, Sugar Cell will automatically create a renewal opportunity to sell that product again when that initial duration expires. So you don't have to manually create those opportunities anymore. It will create them for you automatically. If you've seen the, what is it called, Service Console dashboard in Sugar Serve in some of our previous user groups, there's a new kind of similar view for Cell for the renewals console. So this is a custom designed homepage that you can make available to appropriate users, designed to help customer success managers manage their accounts and opportunities. So kind of just putting everything in one place so they don't have to jump back and forth between accounts and opportunities quite so much. Try and take better advantage of some of that screen real estate. There's also a new dashlet available in the account record view called Active Subscriptions, which would show you any active subscriptions for that product, for that customer. So essentially any of these duration-based products that they have purchased by you marking them closed won that have a current date on them. So once they expire, they would no longer appear in the active subscriptions list. And then finally, because of the new product fields with the duration-based, like the time frame, there are some new stock PDF templates to support that as well, so that you have PDF templates that already would show you the start and end date for those products or services. Besides the automated renewal management, a few other things, at least vaguely sales focused on this list. The interactions dashlet had some minor improvements. That's available in Sell and Serve. That came out in, I think, the first Sell and Serve release. The ability to edit from the preview view is available in all products, so Sell, Serve, Enterprise, and Pro. What this means is when you click the preview button from a subpanel or from a list view, there'll be an option at the top of the screen now to edit the record directly from the preview view, from that right-hand panel of your screen. And there's also now support for using negative values in the likely field for revenue line items, so that if you have credits or price adjustments that you want to do, you can now have negative value revenue line items. So that would be Sell and Enterprise. On the Serve side, Sugar's made some improvements around some of the SLA tracking that was already introduced in Serve, but just making it better. Specifically, really adding more options around first response tracking, as well as improving the resolution time tracking, adding the ability to track that both in like actual hours and business hours. So how many business hours was it before we responded versus how many physical hours from Friday afternoon to Monday morning sort of thing. A variety of new reports based off of those new fields, tracking those values. A new change timers module, which sounds really interesting. Right now it's pretty limited. It currently only works for case status, but the idea behind the change timers module is that it will capture how long a particular record has a particular value for a particular field. So how long does my case stay in the new status? How long does it stay in the next status on my list? How long does it stay in the status after that? So allowing you to track trends in case processing. And given the generic name that they've given it, I would certainly assume that Sugar plans to extend that to further applications besides just its current application of just case status. And then finally, in terms of SLA tracking, an improvement around the resolve date. This is for both Serve and Enterprise. If a case gets reopened, so it's in the closed state and then it moves back to an open status, it will clear the resolve date so that it can reset the resolve date once the case is closed again. A couple of other Serve improvements not related to SLA tracking necessarily. The Serve console got some configurability. So when the Serve console was first introduced, there wasn't a whole lot you could change about it other than it would use your layout. Or I guess you could change the layout more specifically. But they've added the ability to change the sort order and filter criteria on the list that's shown in the service console. So if you have custom values that you want to use for sorting or searching, you can add those in there now. And there are also some new stock Sugar BPM process definitions that you can use. A new version of the SLA process to take advantage of the new functions that are there, as well as a new portal registration process and a new notification for new notes process. So that's everything in the Sugar 9.3 release. Some other recent releases. This first one's getting a little old, but it's important if you're an on-premise customer. Sugar did release security patches for Sugar 9.0 and 8.0 on October 1st. So if you're on-premise and you have not installed that security patch, make sure you take a look at what that includes. Sugar Mobile has had a couple releases, 14.0 and 15.0. There were a couple of new features in the 15.0 release specifically. the ability to use tags on mobile, so you can now add, edit, and remove tags on records when you're working on the mobile app, as well as the configurability of the quoted line items tab within mobile. Initially, the quoted line items tab didn't show your actual configured quoted line items layout. It now does, so that any custom fields or things you might need for quoting are now available in mobile as well. Hint 5.2.0 and 5.2.1 came out in October, November. I think this one actually is a carryover from our last user group, but I left it in here because there's a nice new feature here for Hint. The Hint preview pane now has 2 tabs so that you have both the standard preview pane and the Hint data available in your preview. There was a new version of the Outlook plugin released in December with some bug fixes, so if you're having any issues with the Outlook plugin, as always, make sure you always update to the latest release before doing any further troubleshooting. And then finally, there was a new version of Customer Journey released in January as well. This added a new feature for limiting the number of times a specific journey can run against the same record simultaneously. So if you don't want the journey to be able to run more than once at the same time or more than 5 times at the same time, there's an integer field where you can set that number, as well as, of course, support for the latest release and the bug fixes. All right, so I think that pretty much wraps up, other than, again, telling you that our next user group is going to be about Sugar Discover. Sugar Discover is the next, the other new product that Sugar announced last fall. This is a advanced reporting, business analytics, BI sort of tool that I recently got certified to demo, so now we can do a user group about it. So we'll be doing that on March 18th. Deneen, looks like we do have a question here. If you're interested in Sugar Connect, reach out to your customer success manager, so Megan Dries or Erin, and they can get you more information about how to move forward with Sugar Connect.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us today, and as Megan mentioned, our next user group's on March 18th, and in the follow-up email to this presentation, you will find a registration link for that. So if you have any additional questions that you think of later, you can always go ahead and reply to that email as well. Thank you for being with us today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your week.